you, Arnab. Few minutes back, you saw a signal light reaction, and it was a really, really very, very fast reaction. Welcome to an ultra biophysics laboratory. With me, I have Arup Kundu from Professor Jyotishman Dasgupta's lab, and let us take a look at how they use their equipment to study how fast that reaction can happen. And let's enter the lab. It must be a very fantastic thing. Can we just, oh boy, Mark, what kind of equipment do you have? It's flooded. There's no room to stand in this. How are you going to show us this?
Yeah. So, yes, I will explain everything to you. So, thank you, Kulkarniji, for the nice introduction. And hello, everyone. I am Arup. So, yeah, as Kulkarniji, as soon as he entered, he got surprised. All looking at all these equipment, big black boxes and a big table and very little space to walk around. So, in this lab, for the next 20 minutes, I will try to give you a glimpse how, using all this equipment, how we can track ultra-fast chemical reactions in real time. So, with this, I welcome you all inside the lab. And first, let us have a look around the table. What we have? See, first, we have all these kind of black boxes and something covered over there. So, at there, you can see there is some glass covered, and underneath there are some optical components. So, using all this instrumental setup, I will try to give you the glimpse what are this and how using this we can track this ultra fast chemical reaction. Okay. So first, before going to the actual demo, let us have a look on the fundamental basis or the fundamental theories behind the concept how we can track this chemical reaction.
I think you need to change your camera to the back camera.
Yeah. So, hello, Anna. Can you share for Jyotishman Dasgupta? I'm sharing another Zoom account from the lab.
Okay, wait. So this is Jyotishman Dasgupta. Do you want me to pin this video now?
Yeah, pin this video and enable study. Okay, I got it. My slides are visual.
Yes, your slides are visible. Your voice is a bit creaky.
Okay, voice is a bit creaky.
That's fine. It's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Start.
Just a minute. Okay. Hi everyone. So, I again welcome you. So, for the next 10 minutes, I will give you the basic fundamental concept how we can track ultra fast reactions inside a lab. So, let us first think about the timescales of a chemical reaction. So, what kind of timescales we can have? So, we can have very slow reaction. As you can, if you go back your textbook of school days, you can see there is several examples of slow reactions. For example, rusting, which happens over several days. So, this kind of chemicals reaction you can see with your naked eye, and you can, using a stopwatch, you can, or a wristwatch, you can record the timing or what is the time the reaction takes to place. So you can record that. For another thing, if I think about a moderate time scale, for example, cooking, we all are habituated with this, right? And we do every day in our household life. So cooking is a typical example of a moderate reaction, which can happen within minute to hours. So these two types of reactions, that is a slow reaction or a moderate time scale reaction, which can happen over minutes to hours to several days, those are very easy to observe and those are very easy to record. We can see them, we can feel them, and we can, using a wristwatch, we can record the time, actually how long it takes to complete. But the reactions, like an example which I am showing in the bottom, here you can see, this is called the isomerization of retinal molecule. So the molecule, you can see this carbon, hydrogen and this long chain molecule, this is retinal, and which is the important or the key molecule for our vision. So you can see the molecule here, it is bent kind of shape, which we call a cis form. Upon the light shining, it becomes straight chain, and this bend to going to the straight basically gives us the vision. But important thing is that the reaction time or the time how long it will take to change from this bend to straight, that is from cis to trans, is in the order of hundreds of femtoseconds. So those I will call as a fast reaction. So what do I mean by a femtosecond? So if you think about what is a femtosecond unit, so 1 femtosecond is essentially 1 by 10 to the power 15 seconds. That means it's a fraction of a second by a order of 10 to the power 15. So you can imagine how fast this is happening. And unfortunately, this fast reaction you cannot feel or you cannot see with your naked eye, because those are beyond of our response time of our eye or of our vision. So for this kind of fast reaction, which can happen from this hundreds of femtosecond to a picosecond time scales, we need some sophisticated instrument or some sophisticated way to record them. Okay. So let us think, what is the origin of this fast reaction? Why these reactions are so fast? So the movement you can see, these are examples of few molecules where you can see the movement of these molecules or the vibration. So these are atoms connected to each other, and the movement we call a vibration of those bonds. So these vibrations happens within hundreds of femtosecond timescales to picosecond timescale, and these are the key step or these are the initial step of those reactions. So to observe or to record those reactions, we need to observe or record this vibration or this kind of movement within the molecule. We need to record. Now the question is how we can record, because we do not have any stopwatch or any camera which can operate at that time scale, right? So people have done this trick that if you come inside our lab, you will see all these kind of components. There are few big boxes which are essentially source of laser lights, and you will see several optics, that is few mirrors, few lenses, few prisms, which we all are familiar from our childhood, right? Now the question is how combining these things we can see those ultra fast, that means those femtosecond timescales. Okay. And the question which obviously comes in your mind, and also when the Kulkarni ji entered in our lab and he was surprised, what is here for a chemist? As we are saying, we are going to record a chemical reaction. Chemical reactions means breaking of a bond or making of a chemical bond or changing the color. So how using this light or a prism or mirror, all this optical component is going to help me? What is there for a chemist? So the answer lies in this slide. So let us think of a race. How we can record a race when people participate in that. So remember, there is at the very initial point where there will be a gunfire that gives me the starting time of the race. Then I have a stopwatch which I will use as soon as the participant finishes the race. That means using a stopwatch, I can record a dynamical event. Similarly, here these laser lights essentially gives us a trick to create a stopwatch which can record a ultra fast time scale. Remember, all those stopwatch or the wristwatch we get in the market, those can operate at best in a millisecond time scale. I have no other digital equipment which can record a femtosecond event. So for that, we have used speed of light essentially, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. We are using speed of light to create a stopwatch. How we can create a stopwatch? So here the important thing is that I need a stopwatch in a resolution of femtosecond. That means my stopwatch should be able to give me a record of a time within a few femtosecond time scale. So using a light pulses or using light, I can create a light packet, or I will call a light event, which I will call as a pulse, which will be a femtosecond event. That means I will have my light staying for 25 femtosecond, and that gives me a handle to create a stopwatch. So how I am going to do? I am going to use two light source. One will be my start. That means my gunfire, which will start the race. That means which is going to start the reaction, and I will have a stopwatch or a stop, which is going to record the event or record the chemical process after few femtoseconds. So to create a stopwatch which can record a chemical event, I need two light sources or two femtosecond light. One will be my gun, which will start the race. That means which will start the chemicals reaction. And second thing, another will be my stopwatch, which will stop or which will record the reaction after few femtoseconds. So let us see how we can create those. So let us think how we are going to see a chemical reaction. You have seen in the chemical demonstration, the chemistry or a chemical reaction lies in the heart of a color change. So the best way to see a chemical reaction happening is to see the change in the color. Now let us say I have a chemicals within a beaker and I am adding my reagent within it, and instantaneously I see a color change. Now how can I see the color change? There are two ways to see the change. One, I can see with my bare eye, if that is responsible, that is possible to see within the eye, I can see the color change. Or second thing, what I can do, instead of seeing with our eye, I can use a sophisticated spectrometer. That is something which can record the color. So that will give me some kind of graph which will be corresponding to that color. So as soon as the chemicals reaction progresses, let's say at the very starting, I record the color. Then after few time, as soon as the color changes, I will record another kind of spectrum, which will exactly corresponds to the changed color. And how will you see that? You will see the shape of the spectrum or the position where I am getting this spectrum is changing. So as the reaction progresses with time, I will record the color using a spectrometer in successive times. That will essentially give me the idea or the concept how we can record the chemicals reaction in different time using a spectrometer. So what I am going to here do, I am going to start the chemicals reaction with a femtosecond light. Then using the second light, that is the stopwatch, I am going to record the color after several time delay. But remember, this time delay is in the order of 100 of femtosecond. That means those things, those color change, you will never be able to see with your naked eye. You need this kind of ultra fast lasers to see that. or to create this kind of stopwatch which can record the color change in hundreds of femtoseconds. So what I am going to do, let's take a real example. So let's say I have started the reaction with the start or the gunfire, that is the first light source. Then after some time delay, let's say 600 femtoseconds, I am going to bring my stopwatch. That is my stop, which will record a color like this. So on the right hand side, you can see this is we call spectrum. That is nothing but the color of your molecule. Believe me, this line, the shaded region, you can see there are some numbers which we call wavelength, and this shape is essentially going to tell me what is the color of the molecule after 600 femtosecond or 1 picosecond the reaction started. Okay, then after, let's say after 15 picosecond, that means I am going to bring my stop again. That will record the color of the molecule after 15 picosecond. Then successively, after again a longer time delay, let's say 500 picosecond, I am going to bring my probe or my stop, which will record the color of the molecule after that. So essentially what this thing is going to tell me is that by increasing the time gap between my gunfire, that is my start, and my stopwatch, by increasing the time gap in a successive delay starting from hundreds of femtosecond to hundreds of picosecond, I am going to essentially record the color of the molecules as the reaction progresses. That is essentially going to enable me to create this kind of diagram, or this I will call as a movie, where I can see starting from the very beginning to hundreds of thousands of picoseconds, I can record the color of the molecule as the reaction progresses. So this thing will essentially enable me to record the color of the molecule in hundreds of femtoseconds as soon as I start the process. So this is the key to record an ultra fast reaction. That means using a femtosecond light, you create a stopwatch where using one light, you will start the reaction, and using a second light source or a second laser light, I will call them as a pulse, you will record the reaction after successive time delay. That will enable you to record the reactions in the order of hundreds of femtoseconds. Okay, so this light or the laser light essentially enables us to create a stopwatch which can operate within a femtosecond region. Okay, so what I am going to show you today, actually on the table, I will have a light source which I will call the lasers, which I will divide into two parts. As I told you, I need a start or my gunfire, and I need the stopwatch. So using this fundamental light source, I am going to divide them into two parts. One will be the gunfire, the start, and second will be my stopwatch. So let us have a look how we can do this in a real world. Okay, so let's go back to the table, optical table, where we will show you.
Unshare. Stop share. And you. Okay. You're loud enough. Loud. No, just speaking loudly enough. You don't get it. Okay. So, hi, am I audible?
Yes, now you're fine. Go ahead. Now you're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello? Am I audible, Anna?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So let us see what we have inside. So see, as I have explained you, I have all these optical components over here. So first, let us have a look on this big black box. So the box you can see over here, that is the source of my femtosecond light. That means it is my stopwatch, or the source of my stopwatch light source, using which I am going to create two light sources. That is, one, remember, I always need two light sources. One will be my gunfire, that is start of reaction, and another will be my stopwatch, which will record the reaction after successive time delay. So on the card here you can see, so on the card, on this card, is this visible? So you can see a red light which is falling on this card. This is a femtosecond laser light, which is essentially having a pulse width or a time duration of 25 femtoseconds. So this will essentially enable me to have the time resolution of my stopwatch in the order of 20 femtoseconds. So I can see any event which is more than a 20 femtosecond, I will be able to record using this laser. Okay. So then what I am going to do, I am going to take this fundamental part on this black box, this big box, which I call as an optical parametric amplifier, and I will divide it into two parts. One part will go inside this to create my gunfire, that is my start, and another part from here I will take to other end of my table to create my stop. So let's see how we can create the start or the gunfire. So see, I am taking this fundamental initial light source within this box. So this box has some optical component using which I can create any color. That is, from this red color, I can create green, I can create yellow, I can create blue, any of the color I can create, which will be again at 20 femtosecond light. Okay. So see, for today's demonstration, I have created a green light. So I will request you to focus on this, actually to show the card essentially. So you can see this beautiful green light, which has been created from this initial red light. Remember, this green light is going to be my gun, or this green light will be my start of the reaction. So this light essentially will enable me to start the reaction. Okay. Then I am going to take the another part, that is, I have divided initially from the fundamental beam. So this another red light, I am going to take to other end of the table to create my stop. So let us go there. So what I have done, from all the way, I have guided my green beam, that is my start, and the red beam up to here. So here you can see I have the green beam guided up to here. So on the card you can see I have guided the green beam till here for the sake of the experiment. Okay. Then I have guided the red beam up to here for a particular purpose, because to create my stop I need a white light. So red light is not a white light. I need all the colors. Okay. So for that, what I am going to do, I am going to shine or focus this red light onto this glassy plate. So the transparent glassy plate you can see over here, this is a sapphire crystal. So sapphire has a property, if you shine this femtosecond red light on it, it is going to give you essentially all the colors, a rainbow. Okay. So on the card, can you see the rainbow? All the colors that we have generated, starting from yellow, green, red to blue. So this big white spot on the laser card, you can see that is essentially the entire white light, that is entire the sunlight we have created inside our lab. Okay. So this sapphire plate, essentially the sun inside our lab. Okay. So we call it as a white light. Okay. This white light is going to be my stop of my stopwatch. So I have created the two light sources. Okay. 2 femtosecond light I have already created. So I have already created two lights, right? One is the green, that is my start of the reaction, and I have the white light, which is going to take the spectrum, or which is going to record the color of the molecule after the reaction has started. So what I am going to do, first using the green light, I will start the reaction. Then after varying the time gap between the green and the white light, I am going to record the chemical reaction starting from 0 femtosecond to thousands of femtoseconds. So this entire picture, like how we record a movie, we take several snapshots, several still pictures, and we attach them. That gives me a movie. Similar like that, by taking each snapshot of the color of the as the reaction progresses, I am going to create a movie of the reaction. So if I combine all these snapshots or all these colors together, starting from 0 femtosecond to 1000 femtoseconds, that will give me the movie or the dynamics of the chemical reaction. Okay? So let us see how we can do that. So see on the card, what you can see here, I have brought both the green light and the white light. Okay? So on the card, can you see both the green light and the white light? Can someone respond, please?
I think yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So I have both the green light and the white light. So and within this, can someone on the light? So within this cuvette, that is a sample holder, I have the chemicals which is going to undergo a reaction, okay, or a physical change. So what I have done, I have focused both the green and the white light on the sample, okay, and it is going to start the chemical reaction. And as I have already told you previously, we cannot see the color change with our naked eye. For that, I need a spectrometer. So I have taken this white light or my top to a detector or a spectrometer, which is going to record the spectrum, and the spectrum is going to be reflected on my computer. So let us see what we are seeing on the screen. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. So on your screen, what you can see a spectrum of the molecule or color of the molecule as soon as the reaction has started. So on your screen, you can see I have here some numbers starting from 0 to 2000. Those numbers are essentially the time in picoseconds. Okay, that is after starting my reaction. So if I go to negative of my 0, so you see there is no spectrum, there is a straight line. That is essentially I have not started the reaction. Then as soon as I move, let's say 18 picoseconds. So I have the color of the molecule. That means my reaction has already started and I am seeing the color at 18 picoseconds. Let us move 1000 femtoseconds. Okay? Or 1000 picoseconds. So this 1 picosecond, what you can see, that means essentially your 1000 femtoseconds after the reaction has started. So you see this has a different color. As I move with time, see the spectrum or the shape of this line is changing. That essentially says the color of the molecule is changing as the reaction is progressing with time. So what I am doing here, I am taking a snapshot or a color standing at a particular time point. That is, I stand, let's say I stand at 100 picoseconds. Okay. So I have stopped my reaction, or I am taking the picture or the color of the molecule at 100 picoseconds after the reaction has started. Okay. So if I move this, you will see with time, as I am moving in time, the shape, that is the spectrum, is essentially changing. That essentially says the color of the molecule is changing as the reaction is progressing. See, if I go up to let's say 2000 picoseconds, it has a completely different color. How do I know it's a completely different color? Because you see the spectrum has changed completely, right? It has become narrow and sharp in this region. Now, if I take you back at the very starting of the reaction, see, it has a completely different shape. That means at the very starting, it has a completely different color. That means it says the reaction is progressing with time, and I am recording a different color as the reaction progresses with time. Okay. So this is how, using a femtosecond light, we can record a ultra-fast chemical reaction. Okay. So remember two things. One, these are the femtosecond reaction. So to record this femtosecond reaction, I need my stopwatch, which can operate in a femtosecond time scale. None of my stopwatch in the market will operate in that time. So to do that, what trick we have applied? We have used speed of light to create my stopwatch. So this is the first principle. Using light, I can create my stopwatch. Okay? The resolution of my stopwatch. Then to completeness of stopwatch, I need two light sources. One will be my start or the gunfire of the ray that will start my reaction. That was the green light I have showed you. Then I need my stopwatch to record the time where my reaction is now. So there are two things essentially. I need a femtosecond light and I need to create two femtosecond light out of that. One will start my reaction, another will record my reaction after several times. Okay? On a spectrometer. Because I need a spectrometer, we cannot see these are with bare eyes. Okay. So these are the essential way to, or the key way to record this femtosecond reaction.
If you can hear me, one question.
Yeah,
Are we seeing the color of light being emitted by the sample or being absorbed by the sample?
Okay. No, the color which we are seeing here are the color absorbed by the molecule.
Okay. Just so that people know that we are measuring an absorption spectrum.
Yeah. Here, what I am showing you, we are measuring the absorption. Yes, you can also record the emission, but for this particular kind of molecule, here what we are showing is the absorption of the molecule. Okay,
we are almost out of time, so just wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah. So this is the light which is getting eaten by the molecule. That is, the molecule is absorbing. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully.
Which molecule? There's a question. Which molecule is this?
Which molecule? This is a polymer molecule called P3H3. So this we use for a preparation of a solar cell divisor. It's a polythiophene molecule. Okay.
Okay, so, and so I hope everybody saw this lab and realized that not all chemistry labs have got, beakers and test tubes and, things. This is a chemistry lab which actually operates with ultra-fast lasers, where they try and look at how does the light emitted by a molecule or the light absorbed by a molecule change at very, very small times, at femtosecond time scales or picosecond time scales. Within a picosecond, what is happening? That's what they try to look at in this lab. And many, many, many reactions which are important we have to understand how does the reaction happen, not just what you start with and what you get, but how did the reaction happen in time? And that's what they try to study using light, using ultra-fast light. Okay, great. Let me just see if there are any open questions really. Okay, question answer. Okay, no question. Let me just check YouTube as well. Okay, one question was because your pulse is only a femtosecond.
Yes.
Is your spectrum broad just because of the fact that you have a very small pulse? Would it automatically stretch the spectrum?
So there are two things. The white light you have seen, that is very broad in color. So yes, when you go to this is true, when you create a femtosecond light, that has to be broad enough to create those femtoseconds. The white light is very broad, which can cover entire the solar spectrum, but the green light was a very sharp band. But that is within the transverse limit of your femtosecond pulse. Okay. So that means my green light has sufficient broadness to create those femtosecond lights. but that is not broader than 10 nanometer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think I have taken care of most of the other questions.
Yeah. So one thing I would just like to say, all of you, just before finishing up. So I was only the narrator actually here, and I do chemistry, but there are lots of people behind this artwork, and I would like to just once introduce everyone, please. Everybody, Shandita, Devajyoti, Kishan, please. Ajay, please come once. So yeah, please this side. DJ. So hello, just once. So we all do work together here inside the lab. Devajyoti, please come here. So you can see all these people. So I have demonstrated the results what we are seeing on the actual technical way. But these are the people with whom we always every time spend every moment inside the lab, and we do all the funs inside the lab and to do a good science. So these are the people for whom this was essentially successful. So with that, I would like to thank everyone on behalf of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with this, I'd like to thank not just the people in the chemistry lab, but everyone who participated in today's program. Unfortunately, we could not bring you to the lab this year and help you see the, okay, wait, I need to stop your, can you guys stop your videos? Yes, thank you. Okay. So thank you all for coming and watching this online. We are really sorry we could not bring you to TIFR on National Science Day. Usually it's a fantastic atmosphere here. We have 2,000 people. We have many, many labs open, not just one. And we have many talks and many things to do with your hands. There's nothing like doing some fun experiments. We hope we will be here sometime. We won't have to wait till the next National Science Day. Hopefully there'll be some other times where we can organize this once this COVID pandemic dies away. But please remember, be safe. We are not yet out of this. Always wear a mask. Thank you so much for watching. And follow us online, where we do still have programs. Our Chai and Wai series has restarted physically at Prithvi Theatre on the first Sunday. But first Sunday at Prithvi, third Sunday, we are still online. And fifth, if the month has a fifth Sunday, we are online. There is always something interesting from the world of science that's happening. Maybe a talk, maybe something to do hands-on experiments that you can join us and do along with it. So do join us. The next one coming up next Sunday, March 7th. March 8th is Women's Day. So we're going to have a talk by Professor Vandana Nanal on many of the forgotten women in science who have really made very significant contributions. So with that, let me thank you all and thanks for watching. And do tune in and keep asking your questions. You can always ask us questions at outreach@tifr.res.in. I will put this in the chat box, so you have it in both the YouTube as well as the thing, outreach@tifr.res.in. And let me quickly copy this and also put it on the YouTube thing, and whoever is managing Facebook, please put it there as well. You can always contact us at outreach@tifr.res.in. So thank you. We will end here. Have a nice year, and remember, every day is Science Day. Science is all around us. There's, today might be the special National Science Day, but there is science everywhere around us. You don't need a lab, okay? Every day is Science Day. Have fun doing science. Thanks so much.